In a mining prison, several prisoners are forced to work every single day wearing a device in their mouth that prevents them from speaking. When a machine called the Shredder breaks down, a guard calls the prisoner Kye to fix it. In just a few minutes, Kye gets the machine working again. Suddenly, the guards bring in a new prisoner, and everyone is surprised to see Hatch, the general who lost a war against General Lang. A former rebel stands up when he sees his general, and the guard beats him for it. The prisoner responds with a headbutt, and another prisoner takes the opportunity to hit a guard as well, knocking him to the ground to beat him with chains. Realizing that a rebellion is starting, another guard turns the Shredder in reverse, causing the chains on the prisoner's leg to pull him toward the machine. The guy quickly falls and is torn to pieces in no time. At that moment, Hatch signals to someone hidden, and a guard is shot from a distance. Then he joins the prisoners to start beating the guards. A guard uses the machine again to pull the other chains, causing more prisoners to fall into the Shredder until they die. When the guard is distracted, Kye runs to the machine and tries to stop the killing, but the chain starts pulling him in as well. He grabs a gun from the floor and shoots at the chain without success, so he has no choice but to lose a leg. While the chains pull at his leg, Kye jumps back to the machine and finally stops it. A final guard tries to get up, and Hatch makes a gun gesture to the hidden shooter to quickly kill him. Then Kye passes out. Hey, what would you do if you landed on a planet alone, where if you died, you would come back to life again? The movie I'm going to summarize is called Alien Arrival. It's a mix of action, adventure, and science fiction. It's a very good movie and quite interesting, and if you don't pay attention, you'll finish without understanding anything. That's why I invite you to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave a like to receive the best recaps. Sometime later, Kye wakes up on Hatch's ship and sees that he has received a mechanical leg. Hatch uses a device to remove the prison thing from Kye's mouth and explains that he's rescuing other rebels to rebuild his army and attack back. He knows Kye's father, who also fought for the rebellion. Unfortunately, Kye's father was captured by General Lang and will be killed in a few months on the anniversary of Lang's victory, called Liberation Day. Hatch knows that Kye is a very good pilot, so he offers a deal. Kye has to enter an important enemy ship to retrieve secret information. If he succeeds, Hatch will come for him and use that information to save his father, so Kye accepts. After that, Kye is put to sleep and secretly taken to the enemy ship called Arrowhead. In the middle of the journey, Kye wakes up early as planned and finds a computer to view the ship's files. On the radio, Hatch explains that Kye only needs to connect the device that will do everything. While Kye downloads the information, a message appears on the screen saying that the system would be vulnerable if he continued. Kye tells Hatch, who says it's only for a short time and everything will be fine. A red light comes on, but Kye continues downloading until a computer warns that the systems are shut down and there's strange electromagnetic activity outside. When the download finishes, Hatch confirms that there's an electromagnetic storm outside making things unstable, so he asks Kye to send him the files. Kye begins the transfer, but suddenly the ship shakes and is damaged because it's vulnerable now. The interference causes the transfer to fail, and Kye loses contact with Hatch, while the ship jettisons all escape pods with the sleeping crew. Kye runs to the ship's space shuttle, shortly before being thrown out as well, and passes out when he falls to the nearest planet. When Kye wakes up, he tries to talk to Hatch without success. He runs outside the spaceship and sees pods falling all over the planet, but suddenly it becomes difficult to breathe, and he goes back inside. The ship's artificial intelligence called Reef warns Kye that the air is toxic, and long exposure can cause paralysis or death. Kye looks through the window and sees the Arrowhead slowly falling and asks Reef for a situation report, but Reef needs an employee password to continue. Reef says that Kye needs to find a new place to get oxygen because the ship only has 12% left. Suddenly, a crew member named Oleander sends a message from his pod, asking for survivors to meet where the ship crashed. Kye grabs an oxygen mask and goes out to see the area. He finds some broken pod parts and Oleander's body bleeding on the ground. There's also an intact pod with someone moving inside, so Kye opens it and finds Terran. He shares the oxygen mask and takes her back to the space shuttle, while Oleander's body is dragged away by something mysterious. In the space shuttle, Terran enters the system and becomes suspicious of Kye. Reef searches but cannot find the pieces of the arrowhead, but Terran knows that the escape pods leave the planet, so they have to find them before they get stranded. Kye follows her after failing to send a message to Hatch again. As the two walk, Terran explains that they are actually on a moon, and the planet is the big ball they see in the sky. After a while, they find a research robot on the ground, and Terran is impressed by how much the air has rusted the metal. Soon after, they find the broken arrowhead near a glowing stone, which Kye is sure wasn't there before. The two discuss what to do, as Kye says he won't be able to get into the pods. Terran realizes that he works for Hatch and says that the general was an evil man who attacked colonies before the war, killing thousands of people. But Kye says it's all lies and decides to return to the space shuttle. Kye sits in the pilot's chair and asks Reef to turn on the flight system, but Reef doesn't allow it because Kye doesn't have permission. Instead, Kye asks for information about Hatch, and Reef shows a confession video. A video shows Hatch, after losing the war, admitting all his crimes. But Kye notices that Hatch makes a strange gesture and wonders if it's true. He asks Reef for more information, but it's blocked. At that moment, Modine, the captain of the Arrowhead, sends a message saying that the evacuation will begin in 30 minutes. After that, Kye returns to Terran and agrees to leave with her, despite the risk. Terran says that his clothes will give him away, so he begins to remove the main parts of his uniform while something watches from the shadows. Then the two try to reach the Arrowhead, but suddenly, an earthquake hits the area. Terran turns around and is shocked to see Kye being dragged by something into a cave. She holds his hands and tries to pull him out, but she isn't strong enough, and Kye is taken away. Scared, Terran runs to the Arrowhead, but it's too late. The pods have left without her. Not knowing what to do, Terran returns to the space shuttle to rest. 4 days later, she's exploring the area and finds Kye's glove and axe on the ground. Not far away, she finds the glowing stone and Kye on the ground covered in slime. To her surprise, his leg is completely healed. She takes him back to the space shuttle and runs some tests, only to discover that he is now connected to another living being that healed him and made him immune to the toxic air. Reef continues trying to provide information, and an irritated Terran tells him to shut up, reminding him to only speak when someone asks. When Kye finally wakes up, he explains that he doesn't remember anything, just that he was sleeping. He feels much heavier, but well, Terran says they are trapped since the Arrowhead's pods have been launched, and she also can't access the space shuttle system because she's a biologist. Only some employees had access to this system. The two decide to look at the stone, and Kye hits it with the axe, discovering that it's actually a soft cocoon. Inside, they find Oleander's body also covered in slime. They carry him back to the space shuttle, and when Terran touches Oleander's face with her ungloved hand, he continues to move. Kye pulls some wires to bring out the scanner, and they scan Oleander's eyes, which finally gives them access to the flight system. Kye immediately begins to prepare the engine, while asking Reef about Liberation Day, discovering that there are still 76 days before his father is killed. Terran is shocked to hear that he won't take Oleander with them, and realizes that she knows Kye. It turns out he worked for her father when she was a child. She says that the man she knew back then would never leave someone behind to die. Outside, Oleander finally wakes up and vomits. Kye and Terran go out to see him, and Oleander begins to scream about how Hatch will kill all of them. Then he picks up a gun from the ground, and Kye jumps to punch him at the same time as he fires. After knocking Oleander down, Kye turns around and discovers that Terran is dead. Furious, he begins to beat Oleander. Suddenly, he stops because he realizes he's been shot too. His body begins to twist, and he passes out on the ground. Sometime later, Kye wakes up near the stone, looking perfectly healed. After seeing mysterious lights flying in the sky, he returns to the space shuttle area and is shocked to see the skeletons of Terran and Oleander. He enters the space shuttle and discovers that the engine has a problem, so he asks Reef for an explanation. It turns out he was missing for 34 days, during which the engine was running and eventually burned out. There are 42 days left until Liberation Day. Reef also reveals that while Kye was gone, he detected Oleander's heartbeat in the area, which means he's being revived just like Kye. Curious, he goes to the caves and notices footprints in the sand. When he extends his hand, it glows like the stone, so he decides to return. In the following days, Kye searches for broken pods and takes the pieces to fix the engine. He also takes Terran's badge. Reef shows him cartoons while he works. One night, Kye wakes up when he hears a strange noise. Suddenly, he begins to feel very strong pain, and Reef detects concerning heartbeats. Kye gets out of bed only to fall from pain, breaking the repairs he was making. Reef says he could make things worse and asks him to leave. So Kye runs to the cave and hears the same strange noise before a frightening monster appears. He runs out immediately and falls to his knees in pain, while strange things come out of his back, causing him to pass out. Sometime later, Kye wakes up covered in slime again and returns to the space shuttle. He concludes that fear and pain make him transform and wants to get rid of the creature inside him. Frustrated, he begins to punch the engine and talks about Liberation Day, desperate to save his father. Unfortunately, Reef says that he slept for a long time, and Liberation Day happened 2 days ago. A crying Kye goes out and falls to the ground, accepting that his fate is to be trapped here forever. 3 years later, Kye is still living on the moon. He has trained his body, and now, whenever he gets hurt accidentally, he can stop the transformation before it happens. In the sky, he can still see the mysterious lights flying. One night, he sees something glowing inside a helmet and gets excited. He brings it out and releases a firefly, which joins others of the same species to create a beautiful light show. When he returns to the space shuttle, he finds footprints outside and discovers that Terran's badge is missing. While talking about the situation with Reef, the artificial intelligence shares a theory. He thinks Oleander has the same connection with another living being as Kye, which means he was revived but is trapped in monster form. Reef thinks that death is now part of Kye's life cycle. Bodies die, but their minds live on in copied new bodies. When Reef asks Kye to self-destruct so he can study the body to find a cure, Kye doesn't agree, saying it's just a theory, and he's not sure if he'll revive in a new body. After that, Kye searches for the Oleander monster and is shocked to find one of his dead bodies. He brings it back to the space shuttle and sets it as bait. When the monster gets close enough, Kye comes out and finally shoots it. While hearing roars in the distance, he cuts off a piece of the monster and takes it to Reef, who analyzes it to confirm that this is indeed Oleander's DNA. He also compares dates and says that the roars could be heard every time Oleander or Kye died, which means that something out there reacted when they died. It seemed like a mother crying for her offspring and probably brought them back to life. Kye doesn't understand much because he doesn't study creatures, and hearing this word makes Reef remember Terran. When Kye allows the AI to tell things, it shows a video from the night of the shooting. Actually, Terran was unconscious, not dead, and escaped after Kye died. The skeleton that Kye found later was his own. Kye gets angry because Reef never said Terran was alive in 3 years, so Reef has to remind him that it can only tell things when someone asks. Now Kye has a new mission, to find Terran. He takes pieces from the spaceship and makes a body for Reef so it can go along in the search. After walking a lot, they reach the caves, and Reef tries to see inside the tunnels. But there's something interfering with its system. They decide to follow this strange signal, and Kye begins to smell something weird. Since it's dark, he asks Reef for something that glows, and the machine shows a very loud video. Kye has to run to turn off the sound, but it's too late. The creature comes out of the dark and attacks. While Kye dodges, Reef falls to the ground, and the monster goes after Kye next. It quickly bites his arm, and Kye takes the opportunity to hit it with his axe, killing it. At that moment, the same loud noise echoes in the cave. Kye follows a light at the bottom and finds his original body next to Oleander's. After the shock, he covers Oleander's face and suffocates him out of mercy. This also kills his creature. Now Kye should do the same with his body, but he can't. Instead, he takes his fake leg and continues looking for Terran with Reef. After a while, they find the place where Reef last felt Terran's heart beating, and Kye notices that something was thrown on the ground, which means she managed to escape. At that moment, Reef's screen begins to fail again, and Kye sees that his fake leg is causing this. He looks inside and finds a small bomb, which means that Hatch asked him to send the files to him. As soon as the transfer was made, he would kill Kye. Suddenly, the lights in the sky begin to fall to the ground, and Kye runs to see what they are, only to discover that they are the escape pods, which doesn't make sense because they left 3 years ago, and he saw them in the sky every day during his dream. This makes Reef reveal some secret things. This moon is in a time change test. Time passes quickly here because the general wants a way to make weapons and soldiers quickly. Years pass on the moon while outside, it's just a few minutes. This would be the confidential information that would be sent to Hatch about this planet. At that moment, Kye sees a ship arriving, so he prepares the research equipment. The ship lands, and Hatch comes out with a guard. He received Kye's messages and took only 20 minutes to come. But for Kye, it was years. Kye understands that it was Hatch who brought down the Arrowhead ship and the pods because he wants to use this moon for his own army. He wanted to use this information before it reached General Lang. Kye says all the information is in the spaceship, but Hatch knows he's lying and makes him pass out. When Kye wakes up, he's trapped in the spaceship and discovers they've also caught Terran. When Hatch threatens to kill her, Kye says he hid all the information inside the research equipment. So Hatch goes to look for the equipment, and when he finds what he wants, he activates the bomb in Kye's mechanical leg. But Kye was expecting this and put the bomb inside the equipment, which now explodes. At that moment, Kye's body begins to glow, and he completely turns into a monster. The guard tries to kill him by shooting, but Terran knocks the guard down to prevent it. When Kye gets very close to Terran, Reef appears outside and calls him. The creature comes out covered in blood and breaks Reef at the same time Terran comes out, which means the blood is from the guard. With sweet words, Terran extends her hand to the creature and says he can control it. The monster retreats, and soon Kye returns to human form. He returns to Terran, and together they mourn for Reef. Suddenly, a badly injured Hatch appears and begins shooting at Kye before stabbing him with a knife. Kye uses his monster strength to hold Hatch by the neck and lets a piece of the creature come out to kill him. After that, the two manage to turn Reef back on, and they escape in Hatch's ship. Meanwhile, near Hatch's body, a loud noise can be heard. It means Hatch will be revived and trapped on the moon. What did you think of the movie? Did you understand it? Leave your opinion and tell what score you give it. Until the next recap.